all for being here in support of Dr. Manny, who's running for the United States Senate. I'm very honored to be here. Anyone that knows me realizes the importance and the premium that I place on individual liberty, free markets, and the United States Constitution. Thanks. Ted Cruz just handed me a microphone. That's amazing. I'm Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. Anyone that knows me realizes I place a premium on individual liberty, free markets, and the United States Constitution. I will let you guys in on a little secret. There's not a whole lot of people in Congress who do that. A few weeks ago, one of the people in Congress who does do that, Senator Rand Paul's office contacted me, and they said, we'd like to talk to you about Dr. Manny, and would you endorse him? I said, I don't endorse anyone in primaries. They said, well, that's great, but Rand's going to. When Rand Paul endorses someone, I listen to that. And of course, when we have someone here like Senator Ted Cruz, I listen to that too. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Now, this is an event to raise some money for the campaign. So there are folks around the room that are dressed in Manny t-shirts, and they can help you facilitate a transaction, a contribution. They will take checks, credit cards. I was actually told that they'll take pretty much anything if you guys have some extra. Okay? So have a wonderful time. Thanks again for being here. And at this point, I would like to introduce former state rep Joe Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to take a second, but I'm going to reemphasize what Mayor said about this is a fundraising event. We just recently had a little soiree of close friends and family in Las Casas, Tennessee, called T-Bones and Politics. We raised over $100,000, had over 900 people there. So the only thing we're missing out of this crowd is some T-Bones, because this is a T-Bones and Politics event, and this is all for Dr. Manny. Real quick, I want to share with you how I came to this place. Earlier this year, I had no intention of getting involved in the Senate race. I just didn't. As some of you know, I was a state legislator. I think I saw Jeremy Faison here, and I see Frank Nicely, my good friend, State Senator Frank Nicely here. So I served with a number of people, just really good people in the legislature. Then I decided to run for the United States Senate. We gained over 271,000 votes. We did really good right here, which isn't surprising when you see this crowd. But I wasn't going to get involved. And then Bill Haggerty called me. Bill Haggerty said, Joe, I need your help. I said, I still a voice. I need your support. I need your endorsement. And Joe, I need your counsel. Well, I didn't believe him, but I let him talk. So we talked for a few more weeks, and I said, Bill, we would talk every week for 45 minutes to an hour. And I said, Bill, I'm just really not interested. And then finally I said, Bill, okay, I'm gonna look at this thing, but if I do, I'm gonna look at both candidates. He said, that's fine, Joe, I want you to look at both of us. So I started talking to Bill Haggerty, and then I started talking to Manny. The more I talked to Manny and the more I listened to Bill Haggerty, the more I knew this was the guy. This was the man. So finally, I got to the place and I called Bill, because you do that. I said, Bill, I've got to go with the constitutional conservative. I got to go with the guy who I know is going to fight. He's going to fight for I got to go with the guy who's going to stand up to the establishment in the swamp and do what's right, even if he has to stay alone. Because this is what Dr. Manny believes. And I've talked with him for hours. He believes this: stand your ground. And after everything, then stand firm. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who's going to stand firm for Tennessee, Dr. Manny. Thank you very much, man! Yeah! It means so much to me that each of you came out today. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you because, you know, we were just riding this bus and Senator Cruz said something very powerful that struck me. He said, you know what, Manny? This is not about you. This is about the folks in Tennessee, and that's what we're fighting for right now. For our voice, for change. You know, folks, many of you know my story. My parents, they grew up in difficult circumstances in India, came here looking for a better way of life. I grew up in rural Tennessee, and by the grace of God, I became a physician. I'm looking at this audience today, and I'm standing next to probably the greatest United States Senator we have, Ted Cruz. This is the power of the American dream. This is the power of the American dream. America is the greatest country in the history of this planet. And folks, we got 2 weeks left in this battle. And the establishment, are going to throw the kitchen sink at us. Listen, change is hard. Change is hard. And the establishment doesn't want a true conservative in Washington, someone who's going to take on the swamp. That's why folks like Senator Ted Cruz are here today. Someone who's actually done it. So I need you to dig deep in the next 2 weeks. I need you to pray for us. I need you to vote. If you can donate, I need you to do it. But we're 2 weeks away from change. Thank you so much. God bless you all. I want to introduce to you Senator Ted Cruz.
God bless the great state of Tennessee. And let me just say at the outset, because I know all of y'all are going to say it, without Tennessee, there would be no Tennessee. And so we are grateful for the hard scrabble, tough freedom fighters that founded Tennessee, that founded Texas, and that founded the United States of America. We are gathered together.
It's straight from you.
I think the Chinese are monitoring. And I'll say to the commie bastards, you're not welcome in Tennessee. By the way, Manny, when you're elected to the Senate, and I said when, there are interesting things that happen, such as last week, the government of China formally sanctioned me. I went to bed, I woke up, I picked up my cell phone, and I had 5 texts saying, the Chinese Communist government has sanctioned you and you are banned from traveling to China. And I said, hot diggity damn. I actually sent out a tweet saying, you know, I'm so disappointed. Our family had been planning a beach vacation in Beijing. Right after Tehran, it was as our next stop. But that's part of what you can look forward to. Look, we're gathered here today at an extraordinary time. Has anyone in this room ever seen anything like what's happening in this country?
No.
I mean, look, you turn on the TV. The hard left, they have gone stark raving nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, they've taken the crazies of their party. And that's who's driving the train.
The far left are the apocalypse that people are talking about.
It is fundamental. Who are we as Americans? Who is this country? This election, what's it about? This election is about socialism versus free enterprise. By the way, just a few years ago, socialism, you had Bernie Sanders standing there all alone as a fringe guy, and all the Democrats saying, no, we're not with him. And now what have they done? They've all run and gotten behind him. If you believe in American free enterprise, if you believe in small business, if you believe in individual responsibility, if you don't want to see an all-powerful state, then this election is about who the country is. We look at cities on fire. We look at violent riots in the street. You know how extreme things are? A month ago, if I'd have come here and said, Democrats are going to advocate abolishing the police, you'd have said, well, no, hold on a second, Ted. That's a little out there. They're nuts, but they're not that nuts. Want that? This is a fight for our Constitution. This is a fight for the Bill of Rights. This is a fight for what it means to be an American. And let me say right now, the eyes of the entire country are on Tennessee. This election matters. I'm here for one simple reason. We need strong conservative fighters in the U.S. Senate who will stand up and will not back down. Now, have any of y'all noticed a whole bunch of nasty TV ads attacking Dr. Manny? When we were riding in the bus and was talking with Dr. Manny and Maya, I told them, I said, listen, these ads, you ought to take as a compliment. They're running those ads for the same reason the government of China came after me. Because they're scared. The Washington swamp always tells you who they're scared of. They always tell you what they're afraid of, and they follow the same playbook. They come in with mountains of money. They're dropping cash right now by the bucket full. And they try to deceive the people of Tennessee. And the reason is they want a Republican senator who will go with the flow. Who will just quietly vote the way he's supposed to. Who will be Democrat-like. That's what they want. Shut up, he explained. That's the Washington approach. And the reason I'm here is because the people of Tennessee deserve a senator who will stand and fight for you instead of the party bosses in Washington. When you think of the Washington swamp, as bad as you think it is, It's worse. You know, I travel around all over the country, and I often encounter young people, I encounter college kids or high school kids, and they'll be Bernie Sanders supporters. And I'll tell them, I'll say, you know, I agree with Bernie. They look at me really confused. They don't understand what I'm saying. I said, look, Bernie says Washington's corrupt. He says both parties are in on it, both Republicans and Democrats. They get in bed with big business and special interests and lobbyists, and the people that get left out in the cold are the working men and women of America.
Here, here.
And I tell them, you know what, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's what's going on right now. The only place I disagree with Bernie is the solution. If Washington is corrupt, why on earth would you want to give them more power? How exactly does the lefty argument go? These are a bunch of corrupt dictatorial tyrants. Let's put them in charge of everything. That's what this fight is about. Is electing a leader who will just remember, as Dr. Manny will, that he works for you.
Yeah. For president.
We gotta get through this first.
Now I gotta tell you something. Dr. Manny, he can't win this race. But you can. On his own,
Very true.
he will lose.
Very true.
But with you, and that's one of the things about the swamp, they can bring in mountains of cash. But what they don't have is actual grassroots activists who care about and fight for freedom. So I want to ask every one of you to go out and vote for Dr. Manny 10 times. Now look, we're not Democrats. See one of the reporters pulled out their notepad and started writing down, I got me a story here. No, I'm not encouraging voter fraud. But let me tell you how you can do that. I'll tell you how you can do that. I'm guessing you're not yet old enough to vote. Do you know that you can vote 10 times? Here's how you do it. You find 10 other people that wouldn't have voted otherwise, and you convince them to show up on election day, and you will have just voted 10 times. That's what this gathering represents. That's what the men and women across Tennessee represent. And as you watch this race, you know, they tried to say from the beginning, there's no chance. They want y'all to believe there's no chance. I got to tell you, the Washington swamp is freaking out right now. They are in absolute panic. This was not supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to happen and stand up and demand something different. That's powerful. You know, you look at what's going on. The left, they hate President Trump.
Whoa.
And you know, after the 600,000th time they told us, we kind of figured it out. But it has become their all-consuming passion, no matter what, the only thing they see.
Yeah.
is derangement because they hate the president so much that they're willing to tear down and burn down everything across this country. And it's wrong, it's cynical. How many Democratic politicians are saying, shut the whole country down, shut the schools down, shut the businesses down, shut everything down, because this is a virus that's going to last right until Election Day in November. It's a very woke virus. It understands, by the way, this is a virus that if God forbid you go to church, it'll strike you dead. But if you're protesting with the left, you're safe. But look, you understand it's a woke virus. It started in China. So we know the virus is a communist. By the way, I had a friend of mine who had a solution. You know, California has ordered all the churches to shut down. A friend of mine suggested a real simple solution, which is go to church and protest the devil. Under the rules, you're allowed to do that. So I'm sorry, this is not a church service, it's a protest. And an awful lot of us who believe in common sense are tired of the hypocrisy. We're tired of the games. We're tired of the lies. Look, we look at what's happening in the streets. Let me tell you right now, I will fight to defend your right to protest. I will fight to defend your right to free speech. But that ends the instant you hurt somebody else, you burn something else, you tear something down, and when you do that, you go to jail. You know, like Manny's parents, my dad came to this country as an immigrant. He came from Cuba. He was in prison. He was tortured in Cuba. I remember back in the 1970s, my dad was a small business owner. Both my parents were in Houston. And my father had reason to travel to Albania. And Albania was a communist country there. I remember my dad used to tell me, I was a little kid, he told me about conversations he had with Albanians. So they had no free speech. It was government dictatorship. And my dad used to say, look, back in America, I can stand on a street corner and say Jimmy Carter is an idiot.
And he was!
And actually the Albanians said, well, you know what? We can stand on a street corner and say Jimmy Carter's an idiot too. But we all have a right to speak, but where your rights end. You know, it used to be real simple and non-controversial. Don't assault anybody else. Don't firebomb police cars. Don't burn and rob and loot small businesses. Don't murder police officers.
And don't burn the American flag.
And by the way, let's talk a little bit about statues. Remember this started out as the left saying they were against Confederate statues. No, we didn't have a debate about that. We had a conversation about that. But then very quickly, did you notice it shifted to? They started attacking and tearing down statues of George Washington, statues of Thomas Jefferson, statues of Lincoln and Grant, because we all know they were such big Confederates.
Yeah.
And it got to the true point of absurdity when you had vandals that defaced a statue of Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist. And you're exactly right. At that point, when you're doing it, it's not about the Civil War, it's not about slavery, it's not about anything else. It's about you hate America, and you're angry, and you're trying to tear down this country. And that goes back to why this race matters. Let me tell you, in the Senate, we need reinforcements. We need people who love freedom and are prepared to unapologetically clearly and explicitly say, we stand with the men and women of law enforcement. We stand with our soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines and our veterans. And who aren't going to be intimidated when the New York Times has something mean to say about it. By the way, I promise you, the day the New York Times praises me is the day I'll get up. I'm not holding my breath. But we need leaders who know what they're doing. And so I'm here. Look, we've got a week and a half till this election. Election day, August 6th. Early voting right now. How many of y'all voted already? All right, that is awesome. Every hand that didn't go up, you can vote right now today. It was the City County Center. Someone look up the address real quick and call it out in a second. Downtown West Boulevard. All right, so you can go right here. After this rally, you can go down and early vote right now today, then you can go to lunch right after that. It's a great time.
Voting's more important than the lunch.
Yeah, but then I have to go hungry. Look, we're civilized. You can have lunch, just vote first. Not only that, you've heard this is a fundraiser. Now that's true. Let me tell you, in this fight, Dr. Manny's being outspent, and I got to tell you, a whole lot more is coming from Washington. They're going to keep getting uglier. So, for most of this race, they ignored him. He didn't exist. Who? He was in witness protection. Remember that? I thought the race was over. I was told in Washington there wasn't a race. And then suddenly they realized something was happening. They come in hard hammering. I got to say, I know a little bit about that dynamic. I remember when I first ran, we had $20 million in attack ads pounding us. You'd turn on the TV and it'd be one after the other after the other. They were ugly. I remember Heidi looked at me and said, goodness gracious, I didn't realize you were such a rotten guy. But every time you see one of those attack ads, take it as a note of encouragement that what you're doing is making a difference, that they're scared. So this is a fundraiser. Every one of you, when you get home, you can go to drmannyforsenate.com, drmannyforsenate.com, drmannyforsenate.com. What was that again? I'm telling you, you repeat it enough times, people remember. All right. I'll give you an illustration of that. Anyone remember Herman Cain's tax plan? Yeah. All right, think about that. How many years ago was that, and you still remember 999?
Yeah.
So you can do that, but the beauty of it is you don't have to wait till you get home. There are campaign staffers here that have these little squares. They can take a credit card and take a contribution right here and now. And not only that, there are campaign staffers that can take something called a check. Cash in small amounts. Actually, federal election laws limits it. So if you show up with a bunch of rolls of hundreds with rubber bands around them and like a ticket from South America, they can't take that. But a check, and by the way, for young people, a check is what they used to call credit cards. So nobody under 30 has a checkbook here. You got a check? All right. Okay. I don't have a checkbook, so I said that's. But some of y'all, I guarantee you, have a checkbook in your purse. You got a checkbook in your pocket. You can pull out a check and write a check right here and now. And why does that matter? Because at this point, every dollar they raise, that literally goes to run one more TV ad, to run one more social media ad, to run one more radio ad, and this is all about turnout. So it goes to getting people out of the polls. That's what y'all are doing.
What's the limit?
So the limit is $2,800 a person. If there's someone here who can give $2,800, Dr. Manny will dance a jig for you. But welcome to politics. Sorry, I know they didn't bring up the operating room. He didn't have to dance for anyone when he was doing surgery. Now, you may have to do a little river dance or something. Just go with it. If someone can do $2,800, God love you. Maybe you can do 1,000. Maybe you can do 500. Maybe you can do 1,200. That's actually a very good amount. That's a very good amount. And you know what? Maybe some of y'all, you don't have, that's not within your means. You know what? Everyone here can do $5.
Yeah.
Everyone here can do 10 or 20. Look, if you're in college right now, $20 is 2 pizzas. And frankly, it's 2 pizzas without toppings. Now, everyone here can do the $20, and it's not only that all of those dollars add up, that $20 is another radio ad, is another TV ad, but it's also that when you give the $20, you suddenly have skin in the game. You're invested because this is your campaign. The biggest reason for you to give is it changes how you behave. This has got to be a movement of the people, or it can't succeed. And by the way, saving our country has got to be a movement of the people, or it can't succeed. So I'm proud to be here just to say thank you. Thank you to the patriots in this room. What y'all are doing inspires me. What y'all are doing is impressive. It is powerful. It is every bit as crazy as the freedom fighters who built this country. And you know, if you're looking at the violence on TV, you're looking at the craziness on TV, and you're thinking, what can I do to help? You know, it may not be your role to go stand out and confront the mob directly. But what you can do to help is you can stand and fight for leaders who will, with a cheerful, winsome spirit, as a happy warrior, say, I am proud to defend the United States of America.
Yeah.
That this is a country built on the principle that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Or as Joe Biden puts it, we hold these truths to be self-evident, and that's some stuff. Something or other. You know the thing. Okay, you're right. You know the thing. That's what this election is about. That's what y'all are doing. You're fighting to defend those principles. So thank you. Godspeed, and on the victory.
Give it up for Ted Cruz! Thank you. Thank you, guys. I just want to say a couple of quick thank yous. I want to thank Mayor Jacobs. I want to thank Senator Briggs, Senator Massey, Representative Faces here, our other elected officials. I just want to introduce you to one last person who's really become a very close personal friend, mentor of mine, someone who you all know, who has got a servant's heart, who has served East Tennessee. I've looked up to him since I was a little boy. That is Congressman Jimmy Duncan!
Thank you very much, Manny. And let me just say, I know you've heard the person that you came to hear, and I want to say that Senator Ted Cruz has been a real hero to me, and I know to most of you. in 2011, the National Journal wrote an article and they picked out 3 members of the House that they described as a rabble-rouser caucus, and it was Jeff Flake and Michelle Boxman and me. And I'll tell you, Jeff went to the Senate, Michelle ran for president. I stayed in the House, but I can tell you, I didn't arouse nearly as much rabble as Senator Cruz had. A great man, but Senator Cruz, before you get the big head, I will tell you that Saturday night at Joe Carr's big event, I heard Manny say that the greatest senator in the U.S. Senate was Rand Paul. He's learning about this politics too. But mentioning that, I am so jealous. I could have never drawn out a crowd this big for a last-minute political rally. I am just amazed. And Saturday night, they flew me down to Murfreesboro to go to Joe Carr's T-Bones and Politics event. They said they had about 400 people at a similar event for Governor Lee when he ran. They had between 800 and 900 people. A few people here may know, but most of you don't. I sent my first paycheck as a bag boy at the A&P grocery store. When I was in high school, I was making $1.10 an hour. I worked about 20 hours that week, and I sent $19 and some odd cents to the Barry Goldwater campaign. To tell you that I've been involved in every Republican campaign in all those years in this state, for governor, for senator, for president. I have never seen the excitement that is in this campaign right now in all of those other campaigns. Yesterday, I talked to former Congressman Bill Jenkins. He told me he had just seen a poll that said Manny Cynthia was ahead by 15 points in the first district. Now, let me tell you why I was disappointed about that, because he said he was ahead by 10 points in my second district. I want the second district to beat the first district. But I'll just say this. If the people want to elect a politically correct conservative, because everybody runs as a conservative in Republican primaries now, but if they want to elect a politically correct conservative who will be acceptable to the New York Times and the Washington Post, then they need to vote for Bill Hackett. But if you want to elect a senator that cares about East Tennessee, you want to elect Manny Cynthia. And also, if you're like me and you're so disgusted seeing these left-wing, spoiled brat kids who've been brainwashed by left-wing professors who are tearing down this country and calling it the most racist nation in the world, when no other country has done nearly as much for minorities and people all around the world as this country, that you need to vote for Manny. Let me just finish with this. I had an aunt and uncle and 5 cousins who lived just outside of Manchester, Tennessee. That's the big city. Small as it is, that's the big city of Coffee County. Manny Cynthia grew up in Hillsboro, which is not even incorporated. Mayberry is bigger than Hillsboro. Yet somehow, in these ads, they now call him a liberal elitist. If he's a liberal elitist, he's the first one ever to come out of Hillsboro, Tennessee. And I'll just say this. And I am here today to support a liberal like Rand Paul, a liberal like Ted Cruz, a liberal like practically the entire Mark Levin, practically the entire conservative leadership in this country. And if you want to elect a Tucker Carlson, Jimmy Duncan kind of conservative, you'll vote for Manny, and he is going to be our next United States Senator.
Thank you all. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Early voting is down. I need you to vote. If you can donate, please go online. Let's finish the work that Joe Carr started in 2014 when he took on the establishment. We can do this, folks. We are so close. We are so close. And like Senator Cruz said, the hits, they're going to keep on coming because we're getting closer and closer. So the lies are going to get more and more, and the attacks more and more. But we got to stand together, and we got to take on this swamp. I can feel it. We're going to win. I need you. Thank you.